And the news media is part of the problem. I worked at NBC. I was part of the problem while there. I've talked to my audience about this. It was early on in this whole thing, but it was, frankly, it was late enough that I should have known better. But the whole thing hadn't exploded in the way it has. And this was back in 2018. However, NBC has learned nothing. They've learned nothing from the explosion of this ideology amongst children and the detransitioners and their testimonials and the data we now have on what puberty blockers into cross-sex hormones does to a young girl's or boy's fertility and sexual function. Nothing. They've paid zero attention. It's all about you have to affirm or you're a bigot. And they refuse to use biologically based language, pronouns, and words. Like daughter should not have been in that NBC News piece. And there was a great example of fighting back against this on CNN over the weekend. It happened on Friday. It circulated on X over the weekend. It was attorney Julie Hamill who confronted far left activist Brianna Keilar, who poses as a neutral news anchor, but is really just a partisan hack. And Julie Hamill, in like sort of stone cold fashion, just called out Brianna Keilar's nonsense and afactual discussions. Here's a clip.
What would make this fair for her to compete for those who are competing against her? What would that kind of structure in competition look like?
Who is her?
AB.
Okay, A.B. Hernandez is a male who identifies as a female. What would be fair is to have Hernandez competing in the male category. It is not fair to the females competing to have to compete with a male.
That's how it's done.